Hello, my name is Ana Doak and welcome to Nanay Anay! Well, today's video, I got my husband here again, and it's gonna be like a sit-down talk where we're gonna be talking something very important.
Love story.
Well, before this love month will end, I just wanna make an entry for this love month by sharing our love story. So I wanna call this vlog "When God Writes My Love Story." Well, I just wanna say first thank you to Erlene and Jason for giving us this idea about. They encourage us to share our love story to the world. By share our love story in YouTube, because she really likes how our love story was being put together by the Lord. Yeah.
Yes.
So, is there anything you want to say about that?
Well, are we going to tell it from your perspective or mine?
Anyway, well, okay, so let's start. So, when did we first met, Ty?
We first met when I was visiting the Philippines with a friend of mine who paid for my trip. It was a 3-week paid vacation to the Philippines. So I was 19 at the time, and I said,
No, you were 22.
Was I?
Yeah, and I was 19.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was 22 at the time,
Yes.
and so I said, sign me up. I was young, I had no obligations, I just took off of work and I headed to the Philippines. So it was really quite an adventure for me. He
Yes.
wanted somebody to come along as a chaperone. I was a terrible chaperone, but I enjoyed the trip anyway. And he met his fiancée.
Now his wife.
Now his wife. And while I was over there, I met her. I met her just a few days before I left the
Yes,
Philippines.
so
We were there for 3 weeks, and I met her just 3 days, I think.
We met January 2nd of 2004. Yeah, so
What time? Exact time.
I think that was like 9 a.m.
Yeah, you would know.
Yeah, I think it was like around that time.
Is that when we went to Rock Island?
No.
Or not Rock Island.
Island.
Haguna. No. Yeah, Haguna
We
Island.
went to
Yeah.
Haguna Island, yeah.
Yeah.
So at that time, I went to my friend's house because I wanted to ask her if she could lend me some money for my fare back to MSU. MSU is where the university I went to for college. And so I went to her house just to, borrow some money. And then she told me that she's gonna give me the money if I will go with them to Haguna Island. And I was really hesitant to go because I didn't really like hanging out with Americans. I hate white people at that time, okay? And so but she was able to bribe me, like, come on, I'll you don't have to borrow, I'll give it to you. I'll give you money, just come with us.
Yeah.
At that time, she didn't tell me that her main reason for inviting us was so someone will be talking to him, because
I was trying to talk to Filipinas.
Yeah.
And they were all just like, nobody would talk to me. They would just laugh at me, or, they were just too shy.
Yeah.
So she would talk because she was not intimidated by Americans. She just didn't care.
Yeah, so at that time, so that was like, he approached me. Before that, Ate Charlie was really begging me to talk to him. Like, could you just please just talk to Alex, And I was like, oh, what would I say to him? Like, I have no freaking clue what our conversation will be like. Like, I just have no idea. Like, no, I don't know how to entertain, much more a white guy. But he approached me, and then he asked me how old am I, and then he also asked me if what was my religion. And then they also asked me about my what's my view about courtship, engagement, and marriage. Do you still remember my answer?
Oh, of course not.
Yeah, but at that time, I do. He asked me how old am I. I said, oh, I'm 19. And then what's
You
your
lied,
religion?
right?
Yeah, I said I was 18 at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, big deal.
Like, what on earth, Like, why would it?
No, because at that time, well, there's a story behind that, about why I tried to really keep my age on 18, because I was so afraid to die. I mean, the doctor gave me gave me what they call a life sentence. Life sentence. No, the doctor told me that
She was a blue baby growing up, and they thought she would only live to the age of 18,
Yes.
etc., etc.
Yeah, so I always skip my age 18 because I just don't wanna die at that time. I was still a new Christian when I met him, but then Anyway,
Then
that's a different story.
Yeah, well, that's the background. And I was coming to the Philippines off of a really bad, a courtship that ended really, really poorly, where the father ended up getting arrested. A really long story there.
Yeah, there's another story.
Yeah, another
there.
backstory. So I was heartbroken coming to the Philippines.
I was also heartbroken at that time. Anyway, but the idea there was like, so he approached me and then he asked me how old I was, and then he also asked me what's my religion, and I told him I don't have a religion, but I'm claiming to be a born again Christian, and what's more important is your relationship with the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And then he asked me about what's my view about courtship and engagement and marriage, and I told him about I don't believe in dating. I said that I don't believe in dating. I believe that when you get in a relationship, it's meant to be for forever. It's meant to be for like marriage, for your lifelong commitment to one person. That's it. And then he said I don't know, but later in our relationship, he mentioned to someone, because someone asked him, was it love at first sight? Todd Clements asked you, was it love at first sight? And you said, no, it was love at first talk.
Yeah, love at first talk. Yeah, because when I first saw her, I thought she was a guy. Because she was dressed with like a ball cap and a sweatshirt, and I didn't know. So, yeah.
And then when we got to the island, I took off my hat, and then he found out like, oh, she's a girl.
Yeah. Wasn't the first time we talked in the water?
Yes.
That's what I remember.
Yeah.
Like in the ocean.
Yeah.
Was the first time we talked to each other.
Yeah, because when we were
at Haguna Island, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like paradise.
Yeah, out in the middle of nowhere, like just as far away from civilization as I could possibly imagine. That's where I was. Yeah.
Yuppie. And then after that, we talked more and more, and then I found out, okay, he's a Christian. So that was like, okay, I like him. I mean, not that I like him. I was just like, oh, not all white people are what I've always been thinking, there are white guys, there are Americans who are also who also have a good relationship with the Lord. So that made me really like open up my mind and my heart to open up to a friendship to a white guy, right? And then that night, so we started talking. We were eating together at the island, and then never have I thought that that conversation would lead to a deeper friendship and relationship.
I wasn't looking for a friend. Who needs friends?
As if you have lots of them. So at that time, after that night, Ate Charity's brother came to our house and said, Ate Ana, Ate wants you to come to our house again. If you could, come and visit again. So that night, I went to Ate Charity's house, and then he gave me a Bible. Oh, that was such a big deal.
Apparently a big deal.
I still have the Bible up to now. It's still in, it's one of our memorabilia. Like I'm keeping that Bible.
You don't use it?
I don't use it,
because we've used up so many Bibles.
Yes, it's so precious. I love that Bible so much.
We need more Bibles, by the way.
Yeah, so it's just up there. It's just up there. I'm keeping that, because that's so precious to me. So yeah, that's it. So that night, he handed me the Bible, and that was again it was such a big deal for me, because before there's also a backstory about that, why that I should tell that story, because that really made my friendship to him much more stable. Stable, or like it's hard to explain, but 2 weeks before we met, I gave my Bible away. And that Bible, I saved money to have that first Bible I have. After I got saved, it was so hard to, I didn't have much money back in college, so to buy a Bible, it was such a big deal because it was really expensive. And then I have this friend, this roommate, that who wanted to have a Bible, and I gave her my Bible. And then can you imagine, 2 weeks after, it was really by faith. It's like, okay, it's okay, I'm gonna give you my Bible, and I know God will like somehow
back.
bring it back, And then the one who gave me the Bible was him. God gave me the Bible through him. So that was a big deal. So that just really kind of solidifies my friendship with you.
Yeah.
My mindset that not all white people are the same. You know what I'm saying? So that
we were
was
very affectionate very early on.
Oh.
And so I had no intention of leaving her behind for good. So you remember what I wrote on the inside of your pillowcase before I left?
No. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
You did not give me that pillowcase. You sent that pillowcase in a box.
Oh, did I?
Yes, you did.
I don't think so.
No.
I think I wrote that on the
No.
inside of your pillowcase.
No.
And left it with you.
No, you brought.
And you didn't discover it
No.
for a long time, for months. That's how I remember it.
You were stranded in Manila. You bought a Winnie the Pooh
While I was
pillowcase.
still in the Philippines.
Yes. You
Okay.
bought.
Yeah.
While you were
makes
in the
sense,
Philippines, you bought a Winnie the Pooh because I love Winnie the Pooh so much. You bought a Winnie the Pooh pillowcase, and you wrote inside that Winnie the Pooh pillowcase, and you sent that pillowcase to me.
Okay.
7 months after.
Did I send it to you
in a box through
from the Philippines or from the U.S.?
From the U.S.
Okay.
And then so that's another thing.
I remember doing that while I was in the Philippines, right? But then I brought it back with me and sent it to you.
Yep. So and then well, the thing there, before we reach that point opening that box, I want to say first what happened after you left.
Sure.
Yeah. So after he left, he was stranded in Manila.
I lost my passport, lost my wallet, lost everything. And so I was stranded. I had to go to the embassy and get an emergency passport, call my parents, ask them to pay for another plane ticket because I lost my plane ticket. I out like $600, $700. I forget how much it was at the time. So I had to make that up to my parents after I got back. But it was an adventure, a big adventure for me, being stranded in the Philippines alone, no money, no ID. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I was it was so hard for me. I was crying in MSU thinking about him. Because at that time we already built a good friendship. A good
friendship.
We were still not really officially in the courtship stage at that time.
Correct.
So when did we got officially in a courtship stage? I still remember the day. I remember March 15th. He asked me, who should you ask permission to court me?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and I told you, can you just talk to my Bible study leader? Because Mommy Elsie was like my spiritual mom.
Okay.
My parents at that time was still not saved, so it kind of doesn't make sense. Yeah, it doesn't make sense that he will ask permission to court me with my parents when they're not really Christian. So I told him, can you ask permission from my spiritual mom? And that was Ate Elsie. So shout out Ate Elsie, Mommy Elsie. And then Mommy Elsie gave him the blessing. And you also talked to Marcy. Because Marcy was also a very important close friend. And you talked to both of them on March 15th.
Yeah.
So March 15th was our official courtship date. I remember the dates.
So was I there?
No, you just talked to them on the phone.
I talked to them on the phone. Okay, because I remember when I came back the second time.
You asked permission to marry me.
I talked to your father.
Yeah.
And all he wanted was 500 pesos, which was $10. He wanted $10, and he's like, he's fine.
His dowry is only 500 pesos.
I'd like to say she was a good deal, but it actually cost far more than that to marry this woman.
500 pesos for a dowry. I'm so cheap. But anyway, no, it costs more than that. You have to send me more money to eat my ice cream.
Yes, 500 pesos a week for ice cream. Yeah.
But anyway, so after that, so he had planned on coming back that same year to propose. But at that time,
she got cold feet. She was like, no, don't come back.
Because I had a bad advice. And that's if there's one regret I had in my entire life, that's probably one of it. I certainly would say I had regrets.
To be honest, I don't think I had the money to come back in that time frame. I was just like, that was before I was doing satellite.
You're still working.
I was still making $15 an hour at a hotel. I didn't have the money to come back to the Philippines on my own. I was just like,
but that was, but again, we waited, we waited a year and a year after that, he came back October. He was planning on coming back in October during the semestral break, you know, in my college days. So he came here with his mother. So
Yes.
that was like a big deal,
My
you know.
poor mother flew to the Philippines, which was just an insane experience. I can't imagine, you know.
Yeah, and I just really. There's one more thing I remember. During that courtship stage, Alex would always tell me, "I love you," and I would just say, "Thank you."
Or no, well, thank you. Or me too.
No, that was after we got engaged.
That was a classic.
Before we got engaged, I never say me too.
Oh, okay.
But after we got engaged, I would say me too. If only if I'm in a crowd.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, I will never say I love you too.
Yeah.
You know, whenever I'm like in a crowd, you know, I never say I love you too.
Thank you.
But in the first, when we were in the courtship stage, he would tell me, I love you. And I would just say, thank you. Because at that time, I was really hoping that when a guy would tell me, I love you, will you marry me? You know, that it gotta be like, I love you, will you marry me? And I just want to say, I love you too, and I wanted to marry you too. Like, that was like so precious to me. Like, I didn't want to be in a relationship
All
where,
these secret things that I didn't know.
again, I'm here in the Philippines and he was in the US. Who knows? This guy is just like flipping with my, you know, playing around with my emotions.
Yeah,
you know?
just to get money out of you, or just to give money to you. I don't know.
But again, like that Filipino American relationship is very common already in my circles. You know, in Bislig. Okay, not in MSU. Like I was so exposed to Filipina hooking up with a white guy, and then it ended up to be just like a whole mess, you know, of a relationship, and I didn't want to be one of them. Like I was really treasuring our relationship so much that I don't want it to, you know, to end up in a bad situation. So whenever I would say I love you, I really wanted to say I love you too. But at the same time, there's no engagement ring. So
And even after we got engaged, you would say me too.
Yeah, in a
doesn't
crowd.
make sense.
Because again,
Right? I
there's
love you, me too.
Because in the Philippines, we're not really open up to saying, you know, those words, you know, like I love you, even the
PDA,
hugs,
yeah.
even the hugs, or like the kisses, you know, the holding hands, that's not like common, you know.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like still like conservative. But anyway, so he came back, you know, and then we went to the hotel, you know, with his mommy and him, and then we were looking at I was looking at the luggages, his luggages. We were looking at the chocolates and the candy, and I was like, oh, there's no hint of an engagement ring. I think he's not going to propose, you know, because Ate Charity was telling me, oh, he's coming back to propose. You better get ready. And I was like, I was still not like, I was hoping for it, but at the same time, I was kind of like holding back because I was really like afraid of getting hurt.
Oh yes.
You know, emotional women. I'm a woman. And then I was like looking, and I couldn't find any hint of an engagement ring. And then
Why would I put like a receipt in there or something? I mean, am I gonna like ship it to you? Hey, did you get the blank buy-in box?
Mike shipped
did?
the engagement ring to Ate
my,
Mermaid
okay.
first.
Oh.
But anyway, so after that, so he was here, and then we flew to Mindanao because at that time we were still in Luzon. We flew to Mindanao. We went to my hometown, and then the night before we got engaged, he asked permission from my father if he could ask my hand for marriage. And I didn't know about that. I didn't know that. I didn't hear that conversation because you just talked to my brother and my father.
Yeah, that was a fantastic experience, let me tell you, compared to what I had gone through before in the United States. Like a 2-year-long courtship where I eventually...
It wasn't even an official courtship.
Well, it wasn't, the father wouldn't even authorize it as a courtship,
yeah.
Even though we were communicating and writing letters and stuff, and eventually, he's still in prison to this day. So he was not a good guy. He was doing everything he could to destroy the relationship for different reasons that we won't get into now. But I came out on top. I dodged a bullet with that one big time. So I'm really grateful that the Lord spared me from being trapped in that relationship with that family, because it's not a good outcome there.
So what happened then? Yeah, so you asked permission from from my father, and then the following day we went back to Hagonoy Island, and then he asked if we could go for a walk, and then I just said, yeah, sure, why not, and so we went for a walk. And then we went to the other side of the island, so we went to the other side of the island. He asked, can we just sit here? And then we were sitting looking at the, this nice Pacific view. And then I wasn't prepared for that because this time, I didn't know that there was a box of engagement ring inside his pocket. So all of a sudden, he just said, he kneeled down, and then he asked, I love you, will you marry me? So that was like a big deal. So that was like the word I was really hoping, that would really happen. And of course I said yes. And that was it. It was such a big deal.
The end.
The end. And then Let's eat. And so that was I really prayed so much about, about a lifetime partner. I know I was so young at that time, but I was so sure that it's really him. Anyway, I should not cry. I'm in a public place.
And it's all downhill from there,
So we waited again another year. So Alex flew back to the US. He stayed here for 2 weeks at that trip.
Yeah.
And then he flew back to the US, and that was the hardest part.
That was rip your heart out.
Yeah, I remember dropping him off at the airport, and then as we even just flying in the airplane, back to Manila, I was already super sad that, oh my goodness, we're not gonna see each other for a long time. We stayed in Manila for one night, and then the following day I dropped them off at the international airport, and then after he kissed me, okay, bye bye, I just turned around, walked straight to the taxi, and never looked back. And that was just I was just crying the whole time. But then a year after, I flew to the US, and I was just so excited to really
She came on her own, by herself. Flew to the US.
Yeah, I was really
a very short notice too, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I got the money or plane ticket, and I bought it.
The visa got released.
The visa got released, and I was like, okay, you got 48 hours or something to get on a plane.
Yes, 11 a.m. I got a message from the hotel that my visa was already ready. So I went down and I called him. Hey, my visa's here. And I was like, oh, and he was like, okay, do whatever you need to do. So I went to the CFO, get a sticker, because that was a Friday. And then I was really hoping that I would still be staying there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I was calling my friends. Hey, we can meet up, please. Let's meet up. I was really calling my friends because it's okay, I have only a few days, and nope. At 6 p.m. he called me. Okay, you have to fly tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. I was so shocked, but I was of course so excited, because finally I could go to the US, with him, be married to him. And I was at that time, I know it was really clear what I wanted to do with my life. There's no turning back. It's what I wanted to do. I know this relationship was from the Lord, and that's it. So the following day, I flew to the US.
Yeah.
And then I was so excited.
I went there, and I went there with my sister and my brother-in-law and some of my nephews.
Yes,
right?
I was so afraid to actually travel internationally all by myself. I was really hoping that he would come to the Philippines, pick me up. But at that time, no, I will do this. I can do this. I'm a big girl. So I can do this. So I was stranded first in Detroit. There was some layover. And then flew to Chicago. Then I was so excited to see. And then I was going down the escalator.
Yeah.
And then I didn't see him, but I saw his nephews.
The blonde hair, yep.
Yeah, and then they have this welcome Ana. Oh, that was so sweet. And then he came to me. You had some flowers, you have roses. You gave it to me, and that was just it. And then, you would think. I thought that I would also have 3 months preparation for a wedding, but you were like, no, we're gonna get married in a week.
1 week.
Yeah, because I arrived there Saturday, and then 1 week after that, Saturday was also the schedule of our marriage, of our wedding. And it was that was super roller coaster,
Yeah.
So I did have to go to the doctor.
You were still suffering jet lag when you were getting married, right?
Yes, big time. And I had like, my ears were like having some ear infection because of the stress. Like I was exposed to a new place, a new country, whole food, no rice. And then
Yeah,
there
no
was
rice. Yeah.
no rice. There was just, and then there was a rice, but brown rice.
I
And
tried
then-
to feed her brown rice for months. Right?
Yeah, and then-
Anyway, that's not part of the love story.
Yeah, and that's it. So we got married, and then it was like just like so perfect. My whole wedding was just like really the perfect wedding. Like my mom-in-law and my sister-in-law asked me if there anything I would change with my wedding, and I was like none. It was just so perfect for me.
Yeah.
And that's it. So that was like our love story. I hope you enjoy this, and I hope you learned something from it. Like if there's really one thing that you would, for me, if there's really one thing that you would do to have a good love life, you pray to the Lord God. And that's what I did. I hope that's what you did.
Indeed. I was praying, and I followed up my prayer with effective action.
Yummy. So that's our love story. So I hope you enjoy it, guys. Before this love month will end, I hope you learned something from this sit down talk with me and my hubby do. No, maybe there's something you want to say.
Oh no, I'm good. I love you.
I love you too. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We're getting close, guys, to 500 subscribers. He's gonna eat an intestine. Chicken intestine. So I'm so excited because we're really getting close to hitting 500 subscribers. And guys, don't forget to hit the notification bell so we'll be updated of all our videos here at Nanay and I. Thank you, guys. We love you. Happy Love Month. Bye-bye.